Good evening, America. It is I, Jay Sales, the Lion. It is Thursday night, so you know we are back with another episode of the Book Man Book Study. It is I, the Lion. I'm here with Doc. It is March. That means it's spring. That means it's getting hot a little bit, but it might be taking the funk on us. We don't know. But you know, all my pollen haters. It's your time, man. Go get your Claritin, your Allegra D, whatever you need to get through the season. I need it too. It's that time of year. You come out, you wash your car, go inside, come back, it's green. And it is what it is. We're gonna get through it anyway. We're gonna roll together. We're gonna do this book study tonight. Doc, what's going on with you, big brother?
Man, what's going on, man? You know, this pollen is murder out here, man. It
Oh
is
man, it's that
murder.
time, man. Pollen don't care about what you got going on. Can't cut your grass half right because they beat you down while you're trying to cut your grass. Man, it's rough out here for us people like myself who don't do so well with
Bro.
this.
Over here in the seaport is I think it ain't been this bad in a while. Bro, the parking lot, the ground, the asphalt got this
Green.
strong tinge of green to it. Like strong. You
It
can't
don't
even
take
walk
long
outside with
either.
your mouth open because
Oh
your mouth
man, we're
bad.
gonna get in there. It's over with. Look, I was just going for a walk the other day, and I was like, "Oh, this is too much. This is too
Mhm.
much." And it was just I wasn't even running to nothing. I was just walking. And
Yeah,
it was just felt like it was just sucking it in. You know, I'm up here. My neighborhood got a lot of trees, and a strong wind come through, and it just hit you in the face.
it's over with.
Yeah, it was rough. You know, I washed my truck, went inside, came back outside, truck green. I said, you know what? I'm gonna waste my damn time.
Nope, don't do it. Don't do it. I got one of them little memberships at the car wash up the street. So I just roll up in there every day.
Hey, that's the only way you're gonna win. I seen this guy the other day, man. He had a huge feather duster. So
Oh,
he said he just feather dust his car off. You know, like when he get off work, he just feather dust it off, or in the morning or whatever. Like whenever he see it, he just feather dust it off, and that keep him from having to wash off. I said that's smart. I'll get one of
yeah.
them.
So man, shout out, Freddie Reese, peace and blessings, family. Let's go. And of course, what we got to do, you already know.
Now give me my thing, you. The OG is in the building. What's going on, brother?
Look, OG always be here. He throwing some book suggestions at me. I ain't got to listen to the one that he suggested yet, but man, it's an amazing thing, man. Just we getting some men that's feeling their in between hours with cramming their brain full of knowledge and doing stuff and sharing it out. Then you can't beat it, man. I love it. So
Oh yeah, it's working out pretty good.
so before we get into this, y'all know how I go. Oh, he say same old, same old. I feel you, brother. Y'all know how it works. If y'all want to interact, comment down below. If you want to come up and talk with us, throw me something out in the comments. I'll put the link up there. You can click it. Come on with us if you want to. If you watching this and you thinking about your own live stream and want to test out StreamYard, just click the link down there. And what we do, we get a credit. If you decide to use StreamYard, we get a credit. We've been financing this thing for this whole time. So, if y'all want to try to do something with that, that'll help us out a bunch. Um, what else? New book coming up. We got a
Yep.
lot of good
Yeah.
suggestions. I'm probably gonna throw the poll up there next week so we can figure out where we're gonna go. Because we only after these 3 chapters here, we only got 5 more left.
Yeah. That's two shows.
That's it. And it's
That's
done.
it.
So
Not 2 more
so yeah,
weeks.
man,
That's
that's
it.
it.
We over with.
Saturday, I had a death in the family, so I had to go and do some funeral services. So we won't be available then. And we just come back next week. Got a special guest coming up. I'm gonna communicate with him and try to move him to the following week. Also, be reaching out to a couple other fellas, and I'll let y'all know when that's gonna come. Strong, powerful brothers, man. It will be a good show when I get them on. So can't wait to do it.
Yeah, we're reaching out to folks, man. We're trying to expand our base and who we talk to and the folks that see the show, man. We appreciate everybody who's been with us from the beginning. And we're just trying to continue to develop and evolve the product that we bring to y'all. We try to bring you more insights into the Book of Man.
For sure. So, all right, man, let's go ahead and jump into this thing. This is the chapter everybody been waiting for. And I'm gonna tell you what, I had to think a whole bunch whether I wanted to put this on my personal page or not. Like, do I want to do this? Because I got people watching me and people looking up for stuff. But after I read the chapter and really dug into it, I'd be like, yeah, this is stuff people need to know.
Exactly. And not only that, it's a part of life. Let's
Mhm.
not let's not act like it's not a significant portion
Mhm.
of our life. This is not a small. This is something that we all do
Mhm.
or want to do,
Yeah,
and
there you
and,
go.
and most of us would like to do it well, however you measure that.
Oh, much as we
And
can.
right, so I think it's always good when we can approach this topic and talk about it, especially the way we're going to speak about it today. Because I believe this is actually some constructive
It is.
input.
Man, when I read this thing, and it's like I start seeing exactly what he was talking about, I was like, okay, this is some stuff I ran across in some other writings and some other teachings. And it's all connected. That's how you know it's one truth, man. But let's go ahead and jump in it. All right. Part 7, chapter 44. You see the title down there. Ejaculation should be converted or consciously chosen.
Mm.
It should be converted. Converted into what? Converted into some kind of energy, inspiration. Look, he talking about don't water it down. Or it should be consciously chosen. You choose to do it. So this is what we're talking about here. Now, what he says is there are many physical and spiritual reasons why ejaculation should be converted into non-ejaculatory whole body, brain, and heart orgasms. So what he's discussing is the energy that you put into stuff. You either got to choose to expel it out into the world or keep it in and use it to energize you to do more stuff.
Right.
And he talks about when a man has no control over himself and that women and people itself, she knows she can deplete him, weaken him, empty him of life force. She has won. And then he talks about how the world can deplete and depolarize him easily. So we talked about the depolarization. We talked about how we make ourselves weak. And
Right.
that's one of the big things that he's talking about in this chapter. The title says one thing. And like Jason the Lion said earlier, like it depends on where you are in your life, how you perceive this information.
Yep.
So you want to talk a little bit about that? Then we can jump
Well, what
in.
I was saying, earlier when I said this about, well, the first time I read this book, when I went through this chapter, I was very braggadocious on myself,
Mm-hmm.
very saying, hey, I don't need no help in this department. I'm good. Um, and I did not take the information in the same way I took it in as I read it through it again, preparing for this. Um, because we have to think more broader than just ourselves
Mm-hmm.
whenever we prepare, for the each show or whatever each week. And I realized that it's a lot less about your actual performance or your actual time, in that arena, in the bedroom arena. It's far more about self control and choosing when you're gonna you being in control of yourself and not letting the lust and all that kind of stuff be in control of you.
Because I see what he's talking about, converted or consciously chosen.
Right.
Um, I think about it, well, like emotions, like anger. When you are
Right.
angry, you have a choice. A lot of people think they don't have choices. They'll say, oh, that person made me mad.
Right.
But what they don't understand is they do have a choice. Either you can
Always.
cut loose with your fury out on somebody, hurt people, and do this, or you can choose to keep it in and use that energy for something else. And that's what he's talking about. So, man, and this thing hit so hard, man. Pretty much he says this. Ejaculation will afford you with a temporary release and relaxation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's think about what that word actually means, because when you say that, people think that, oh, it's just a sexual thing, but it's a verb. Let's it's like a motion of ejecting stuff from the body. So
Correct.
When you're doing that, when you forcefully eject things from your body, you achieve that temporary release and you calm down. But look what he say after that. But as you live your life with more and more true purpose, you won't accumulate so much tension throughout the day.
And to me, that's a very powerful line. Because if you're focused on what you're supposed to be focused on, less things are going to impede you, and you won't have as great a need for some kind of way to release, because you would have been releasing that energy throughout the day as you focus on your things you needed to.
Yeah, like what happens when you don't have to do those things to relax? And when I say those things, I mean like even, all right, let's replace it. Let's say if it's drinking alcohol or smoking weed. Okay. People do that so they can relax.
Right.
But what you gonna do when your life's not that stressful no more?
Well, it's funny you should say that. I just recently came across that study. I don't know if you ever came across that study before, where they put the rats in the cage and they put them in a messed up environment. And they gave them water, and then they gave them another. They gave one jug had regular water, and one jug had water laced with cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
When they was in the rugged environment with nothing else to do and no wheels to run on and nothing else to interact with, every rat chased the cocaine water.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they put them in another environment and they had the wheels to run on and things to climb up on and ways to play and interact with each other, none of the rats chose the cocaine water. They just chose the regular water. So what that tells you is, if you don't need those little small, things to get over your life if you actually enjoy your life.
Right. That's what we talking about right there, man. Oh, all right. You say jump on. All right, Freddie Brown, hold on, bro. I'm gonna put the link in the comment that you own, and it should pop up. There you go. The link is down there if you want to get on. But yeah, definitely, man. And I mean, I look what he say. He said the all right, for the most part, the ejaculation part actually depletes and weakens you. Then he says the price you pay is a higher level of mediocrity in your daily life because you don't have the extra gusto to go out and get it. And this is one of the big things, one of the big mistakes that people make, especially when they talk about weed. They say, oh, it's natural. It's something that's out there. God made that. But what they don't realize, and there are actual brain scans and studies that show this, that when you smoke too much, the reward centers in your brain get rewritten. So they get rewritten. When you accomplish something and that sense of accomplishment you get, and it make you want to go and do it again and do more hard stuff.
Right.
When you do that stuff, it don't work anymore. It's all connected to the weed. And it replaces that. So when it said it don't hurt you, it's psychologically, it rewrites your stuff. It does. Oh, here we go. All right. Mr. Help the Cover is here. Helping us to cover. I'm gonna get you a theme song, man. I just gotta make one.
What's going on, Freddie? How you doing, brother?
Yes, sir, boy. You look amazing at your age. Man, we getting
I
old.
just
We getting older. I was telling the crowd last night that I kind of go to sleep at 10 o'clock because I was in Savannah for a birthday party, and so I'm back here in Charleston, man, and I just wanted to make sure I caught this week.
mm,
Wow. Yep. I try to catch you guys as often as I can. When you have
We
a busy
appreciate it, brother.
schedule. Yep. So everything's going good, man. I like this. Chapter right here. It said ejaculation should be converted or consciously chosen. All
mhm.
right.
Yeah.
I'm just here, man. I'm not even a coach. I'm just listening. You can just see my face.
So
But
what are your thoughts? What thoughts do you have on it, Freddie? Like what did it make you when you went through it or whatever? What did it make you feel?
I know you done read the book
Well,
about 3 times.
I have read it about 3 times, believe it or not, because I didn't want to miss anything. I was like, every time I read it, it's like reading the Bible. You
Mm,
learn something new.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, definitely.
it's a lot to being a man, guys. And I agree with you guys, man, and that's why I jumped on because you both of you all been on point the entire book. You've made it interesting, and I hope whoever else is jumping on or going to watch the studies later, man. I hope they can really grasp what you're trying to put out there.
Mm,
So for me, um, you know, uh, Doc, you're married,
mhm.
right? And Jeremy, you are single or in a relationship.
Uh, I'm meddling the line between winning and losing on that one. I, I, I would say I'm actively dating. We'll put it that way.
Okay. Well, that kind of puts us in the same boat. So it hits a little different for the guys out here who's dating versus the guys who are married. Um,
Hmm.
and that's what I think. That's my opinion. It
Mm,
hits a little different for the both of us, because of everybody have their own interpretation. So that's kind of where I like the fact that you guys can have the yin and the yang.
mhm.
But for me, I'm at the conscious level now, right?
Yep.
Where I'm consciously I have to consciously decide, on what I want out of this,
Mhm.
right? And it's not always sexual. It sounds
Right.
sexual if you just look at it from that perspective, but if we look at it from statistics, right, then we can compare the two. Someone who's in a committed versus someone who's either trying to commit or you know what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Right.
Jay, yeah.
Okay. I got you. I got you. It's all
Hmm.
about for me when you break it down, like where are you focusing the energy?
Yeah.
It's all
Hmm.
about, yes, especially in situations like you or I, Freddie, yes, I could go out and take my energy that I have and focus it on seeing a different woman, a different woman, a different woman, or being out in the street and just being on in the scene. You know, it ain't about bumping a bunch of women, just being out and being in the scene, or I could take it on focusing on trying to build myself, learn a new skill.
Mhm.
You gonna
Hmm.
spend the energy one way or the other, and you have to convert or like they say convert or choose where you're gonna put energy
And
towards some kind of purpose if you can.
now I'm gonna tell you what,
Hmm.
that the convert part is what rung out to me.
Hmm.
Um, so I made a video this week, and a part of it, what it was called was, a kid asked me about depression and all this stuff, and I told him that I'm the king of me. I
Right.
decide what I do. Nobody can tell me what to do, not even me. I do that. So for me, this relates to that. It's all about my control, my self control. Nobody
Hmm.
can make me explode in anger or whatever emotion. I decide when I get to do that. Even the, when the emotions flowing through us, I
Hmm.
choose not to be a slave to it.
Right.
I decide when I do that. And that should apply to everything because I'm the king of me. I rule
Correct.
this kingdom over here. and not even my brain, nobody can tell me how to rule it. So this connects to that, because a big part of this chapter he was talking about, and he aligned it, with the sexual thing. We're talking about how the woman can draw out that in you and make you do it. But if you the king of you, nobody can make you do nothing.
Right.
And that's the hardest part. OG say the convert is the hardest part.
Well, first of all, OG married, so it's a little different. Like you're saying, his situation is what it is. I think one of the things you have to in this chapter you have to focus on is removing it from the sexual aspect. We know that's part of it, but that's not all of it. And then when you mentioned in the book, and when I read through the book, and he goes, a woman can drain you with that. It reminded me of mythology, and I don't know if y'all ever heard of a creature called the succubus.
Yeah.
You know, there are women that can drain you. They get their life force and their energy from draining you. When we all know that the feminine is supposed to give energy to you.
Yeah.
So that's something you got to really think about when you giving this energy with exchanging this energy with that woman. Are you getting that feminine radiance that you want back to restore you in that situation?
Exactly. Now, and again, I have a problem. This is my problem. I had this problem my whole life. I don't like people telling me what to do. I can't abide by it. I just can't. When people start telling me what to do, it does something to me. I'm usually a peaceful dude, but it does something to me. And this part, why it stuck up to me, right here, he says, she has conquered you. She controls you and masters you. She is in charge.
Right.
And she knows the world can do the same to you.
That's that whole thing I was saying. Is she restoring you? Is this her extracting from you, or her exchanging with you? If she's extracting from you, then yes, she's controlling you. She's getting more than you are. But if it's an exchange, then that's when she's giving back and pouring back into you, and you're getting that feminine energy back.
Well, let's go ahead and go into that with the extracting part. How many dudes out there can be distracted from what they're doing with a sexual gesture? You can forget about everything you're doing. You're not even sticking to your purpose because of that.
Yeah, the list is long. The list is long, and
you know it is. And then the thing is, and like you said, the give and the take. If you with somebody, they're not going to distract you from your purpose of what you got to do, because they know it ain't about them. Like like my wife, she know, okay, this ain't about me, so I'm gonna leave him alone right now. She had to do it for the past 7 years when I was studying for this doctorate. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it works. So it's leading to exactly what you was talking about.
Yeah. And she understood, okay, that he got a bigger purpose, a bigger thing going on. I can't get all the energy and all the time I want all the time. So, and she was willing to do that. And probably during that time, she probably gave a lot of her energy to you to help you get to what you needed to get through.
Oh yeah. Now, she definitely did.
Now I'm sure she got a bank over there, a time you owe. But
it's time to pay the piper.
Yeah, you can work on paying that debt off as you go, sir. Good luck.
That's how I go, paying it off. That's right. But look at this. So it's two parts. It's like a dichotomy that he shows here. Two parts, two different things. So the first one, and this other part struck me. He says, what did he say? He talked about self-possessed gratification, followed by your withdrawal into a post-ejaculative relational non-interest. So now I'm gonna show you the other part. So that part there is the selfish part, when you just trying to take care of you. You doing what you gonna do for you. And after you do what you do for you, you ain't good to nobody no more. That's it. Right? But the dichotomy part of it, the other side of it, where he said a superior man may choose to ejaculate occasionally. So he meters it out, not just to meet some kind of need, but he do it when he want to do it.
Right.
While taking care of everybody else. And again, this is talking about a sexual thing. I think he chose that because everybody understand that.
Correct.
But the deeper part to it is when you just out for self all the time, you ain't good to nobody. You can't do anything if you always out for self. But if you get to a point to where you out for yourself, sometimes you giving more than you taking, then you're doing something. I mean, I would even, and I know Freddie, me and you talked a lot, and I would even talk about how you're at a point in your life, at least what you told me, with business is going great, you're growing, stuff is going, but what you doing now? You giving back. And you choosing when you want to do something for yourself, but most of your time spent training new people, giving people opportunities, going to the community, working on all these boards. You do all of that stuff because you choosing to do it.
Well, it seemed like it just that's why I love this book, because it's not about a right or wrong at the end. It just tells you how to be a better man, right? And if you didn't have a father in your household, for some of us, we didn't, right? And so for those who watching, this right here is a great book. If you didn't have a man in the household, you're like, goodness gracious, I missed this.
You're right.
There's I'm just like yourself, I'm still learning myself, and being a superior man is, I think, what we need more of, because all the studies show that, nowadays, I mean, why are we having this conversation and we thinking it's about sex? I don't think it might not be about sex, right?
Yeah.
It might be about power and the energy that, like you said, the energy that you have inside of yourself, and what are you doing with it, right?
Yes.
Because it does say on here, it says excess sex can make for a decent life,
Yes.
but it don't make a great life.
Yeah, it's gonna be okay, but it ain't gonna be good. Here it is. Excessive ejaculation paved the road to living a good life, but not a great life.
Right. So see, that's not a win.
No, I was just saying, and to me, that's basically saying it's more to it than just getting that release. That's basically what it says to me.
No, well, I mean, because it's like people are satisfying just their base urges, the base part of themselves, and that only get your life's only so good. But again, and as I know Freddie can attest to this, the more you start giving and going out into the world, the better your life get when you stop focusing on yourself. That's the big part of it. And people don't understand, man. They don't get it. I would even say, like, I work with kids. Teenagers. And I try to lead by example. I go in there every day and I do things for them. Because I want to show them that it's more to life than just taking care of yourself. I tied this boy's shoes the other day. I tied his shoes. Didn't have to, but I did. To show him that you can give to somebody else. It's not embarrassing. It makes you feel better. And during that time, we got to sit, we laughed, we talked, we did all this stuff while I'm tying his shoes. 14 years old. Most people look at that and be like, nah, he grown. He ain't got to do that. But that ain't what it's about. It's about giving, man.
I will say this, just in that situation, that boy probably needed a minute to have a conversation with another man. And that might have been the only way you would have been able to get that way. So, he's 14, he can tie his own shoe, but every now and then we all have to take a breath and have a conversation.
Check this out. Same thing. And this is about pouring out that energy and being good to people. You know, these kids, they wearing the Jordans that we used to wear.
Yep.
I
Same
mean,
one.
old stuff we used to wear. So one day I missed and stepped on his shoe. He didn't get mad, but I said, "Oh, you know, bro, my bad. Let me wipe that off for you. I gotta wipe out. Let me clean it up nice for you. Clean off his shoe." And he was trying to stop me. Miss, you ain't got to do that. You ain't got to do that, dog. No, just leave it alone. I said, "No, I stepped on your shoe. I'll make it right." A couple weeks later, he stepped on my shoe. This same shoe I got on right here. This shoe. This ain't nothing. He
Right.
went and got the stuff and wiped off my shoe. I told him to stop. He said, "No, because you did that for me."
That's respect.
He told me that. So see what I'm saying about him? If you just worrying about yourself, it's going to be a good life. You're going to be all right. But the more you spill out, the more rich and involved it's going to be.
Yep.
Definitely.
So anybody want to throw some last words on this chapter before we move to the next one?
Yeah, let me throw in something, man. I don't think we know what life is until you start living it. Woo.
Oh boy.
That was enough, wasn't it?
Definitely. Because I mean, we think we know what people function off is what everybody else tell them.
Yep.
They tell them what life's supposed to be, and that's what they chasing. They chasing the imagery. And I think that's why he wrote this book right here, man, for people to know. It's not about that.
That's a good one right there. That they people tell them what life's supposed to be, and then they chasing the imagery. And if that ain't what social media doing, boy, that's the truth right there.
And it's sad that many people, you know, our age and older, doing the same thing the teenagers doing.
Yep.
Same thing. All right, let's go around this thing. Next chapter. Breathe down the front.
Yeah.
Man,
I like this one.
I was I had talked to Damien early. He called me a couple hours ago. And I was describing this chapter right here and what it meant to me. And I think back to when I was like in the 8th grade. And I never forget, man, I used to read books a lot. Like, you know, have a flashlight under the covers reading books. Right. And I had this book about Tibetan monks. And I can picture the picture in my mind right now where I said that they could sleep out in the Alps where they are, Nepal, those places. And they can sleep outside with their regular clothes on and maintain their body temperatures. And I want to know how they can do it.
Yep.
And they start talking about the mind over matter and stuff like that. And like how you can change stuff with just the way you perceive it and it's in your mind. So man, no lie, I started doing it to go to sleep. And now I never have a sleepless night because I can fall asleep on command because my brain, I do some breathing and it's like my brain say, go to sleep. Well, actually, I say go to sleep because I'm the king of me. And we go to sleep. And I go to sleep right away. Same thing with this breathing. But I'm gonna go back for a minute. Jamel said, but people aren't living for their true selves. They are only trying to live their life to impress others.
Yep. Which is why you got to find that purpose. When you find that purpose, that kind of stuff falls to the side. Which is why, you know, earlier in the book, that you put so much focus on finding your purpose.
Look at this.
That's right.
I literally learned how not to feel pain the same way.
Yep. Yeah, your breath, controlling that breath. Go ahead and tell them what he's saying in the book.
Right.
Go ahead. Tell them what he's saying.
All men tend to have blocks in the front of their body along an imaginary line that runs from the top of the head through the tongue, throat, heart, solar plexus, navel, genitals, down to the perineum. And you know, that's like the taint. That's what they call it. It's all, but all of that is connected. And he says, you got to maintain a full and open front of the body at all times. And the best method is through full relaxed breathing, drawing energy down the front and freeing attention from neurotic concern. That's the big part. Freeing attention from neurotic concern. staying
Word.
out of your head.
Word.
Get your mind right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what he's
Too.
talking about. And the first paragraph, if you're not familiar with this first paragraph will definitely make you understand what we're talking about. Now, people who watch anime and all that, we already know what they're talking about. But let's go ahead. I'm gonna get into it. He describes how it feels to be all bound up. And he said, when you get nervous, your stomach tightens. And we know that happens. When you are sad and a lump forms in your throat, when you are threatened, your solar plexus feels queasy, like your stomach don't feel quite right. You know something about to jump off. When you think hard, your forehead wrinkles. When you consider the unsure future, you tense your jaw. For much of the day, you are tightening, tensing, contracting the front of the body from the top of your head through your chest and all the way down your gut. We all can relate with those feelings.
Yes.
You know we have them. Matter of fact, for me, where I learned about that, like last job I was working, man, I was running that warehouse and I had never done it before. And I'm there with multinational people, you know, Korean folks and all that. And I'm their go-between doing all the big stuff. And before you talk to them, you need to have your stuff straight. But I had realized what my body was doing.
Right.
And I made an effort through breathing to try to stop it. Like when I was nervous, like he said, your stomach kind of contract and you get this whole feeling and you can stop it with the breathing. I mean, stop and breathe. That's basically what this is.
And I,
go ahead.
I don't think we concentrate as especially as men on something as simple as breathing. Because it just happens naturally. We don't actually put any energy into it. Like the only time I've ever thought about really my breathing was something concerning athletics.
Yeah.
How to help myself breathe better when I'm running or when I'm exercising or working out. I've never thought about it as just, I'm frustrated. Let me let me breathe a certain way and try to help relieve stress in my body or whatever. So that's an eye opener for me.
I ran into it, and we talked earlier about this before we started. When I was doing my push-ups and stuff like that, it was like 200 push-ups, whatever the app is. And during the time I had to do 55 push-ups in that set, 55. And when I first started doing them, man, I got to like 5 or 10 and I was done. But what I discovered is I was breathing wrong.
That's right.
And when I changed that breathing, bro, I could do all of them. That's what it is for life, man. You got to like breathe and move that energy around.
Yep.
You feel
I think that's the big one right there. Moving that energy around, getting it through your whole body instead of just one point that you're focusing on.
Man, all right, here go one for the nerds. Because I keep going back to it. Y'all go back and watch Naruto. It'll be up there. Rock Lee used to do it all the time when he opened up the 8 gates and all them the things open up. You got to open up the 8 gates. If you anime nerds, you know what I'm talking about.
So you bringing the nerd show in now. You bringing in the nerd show.
I'm trying to keep them separate.
but it goes to show when you take something like anime, which is Eastern, filled with Eastern philosophies, where things like your breathing are taught.
Yeah.
That's the difference between a Western culture and an Eastern culture, where small things are taken, for example, the way of the samurai, where they say, the small things should be taken with big consideration and the big things should be taken with small consideration, which basically says if you take care of all the small stuff, the big stuff will take care of itself. And what's smaller than how you breathe?
Yeah. Jamel said a demon slayer. Look, that whole thing is about breathing.
Yeah,
the power of breathing. But
that's one of the things we can definitely learn from that Eastern philosophy.
Yeah,
just how to breathe and how to function on the. We are very grand in our scale here in our Western culture. We always talking about oh, the championship or
Mhm.
the promotion, the big thing, we do not spend the energy and the focus on the small things the way they do in Eastern philosophy. That's one of the things I'm always taken from that and always appreciate.
Yeah, he tells us how to breathe. Now,
Mm-hmm.
but before I get into explain that, he says something here that I tell people all the time. When I was training teachers how to communicate with people in crisis, I would tell them this. And I said this in one of my videos too. The last video I made, I think I put it out today about killing the negative self-talk and finding positive things like in your life. Because when you're looking for something negative, you're gonna find it. But the thing I said is you have to practice when you are not in crisis.
Mm.
When I was training teachers how to communicate with students in crisis, you can't try to use this stuff when they throwing chairs around. You use it when everybody happy. You use it when stuff going good so you can practice. That's how I learned sales. I used to practice on folks. I used to sell loss damage waiver for rental cars to people who already had insurance and had their car wrecked and somebody else was paying for it. They coming in mad. But I practiced that. I would practice on my wife. Like, I do it all the time even now. I practice telling stories 24/7. When it's not anything bad. So we got to practice this stuff. So what he's saying here is inhale deeply through the nose and breathe through whatever tensions you notice in your body. So you got to be aware of your body. Breathe in through your nose. Inhale deeply into your belly, lower belly. So you got to because usually what happens when we breathe through that nose, we keep all the air up here.
Right.
And then we just blow it right out. But what he's saying is go through the nose and let that air go all. You can do it. You can change it. You can change it. The Navy's call it box breathing, I think.
I think it is what you call it.
But you push that down in your belly. Then you exhale, but you got to exhale through your mouth, in the nose, out the mouth. Then he said on the next inhalation, breathe into your lower and upper belly, then exhale. On the next inhalation, fill your entire belly, then your solar plexus and lower chest, then exhale. Then inhale and fill your belly, solar plexus, entire chest in that order. For several breaths, inhale fully in this way, filling your belly, solar plexus, and finally your chest. Then exhale fully, slowly, and smoothly. So you just got to go through all of it. Like feel the breath going from the bottom to the top.
Yeah.
No lie, I do this job every morning. When I'm walking into this
deep breath
every morning. If you see me leaving my car, I have my head looked up, my eyes closed, and my hands spread out, and I'm breathing like that while I'm walking. No lie, every day.
That's meditation, Doc.
Yes, it is.
That's simply meditation. Meditation.
I do it while I'm praying too.
Right. Praying is meditation too. Also.
Yep. So
yeah, I like to do it when I like to do it outside. You get out there in get a good sun ray on you, and maybe take your shoes off. You in some nice cool grass, and really breathe in and you ground it in. That's when I like to try to get some good deep breathing in. For me, it makes me feel better. The Apollo won't let me do it right now, but any other time of year.
Hey, breathe in the green. But again, this is something you have to practice before you get in crisis. If you're nervous and trying to control yourself and calm down, you can't be trying to practice this breathing then. Practice it when you ain't got nothing to do. And and it becomes natural. So Jamel said we in the West romanticize the destination too much and don't enjoy or value the journey.
Yes, sir. He's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
That's hot right there, man. I learned that. That trip we drove cross country was what taught me that. It was all about, it wasn't about driving to California. It was about all the stops in between.
Yep. Y'all feel like y'all had a good time, man. You making me think about it, brother. I'm not gonna lie. You're making me think about pulling one of those off on you. I didn't ever think I wanted.
We single, I ride out with you.
Yeah. Hey, y'all can stop at all the places.
Heck yeah.
Just get on
I
I-10
didn't,
and it'll take you all the way
you
to
know,
the Pacific Ocean.
I don't like to drive like that. So I'm like, I don't think I ever want to just be in a car for, over and over for days. But when I saw y'all do it, I'm not gonna lie, bro, I like that look fun, man. To just get out there and
You
make these
drive,
stops and see all the stuff you never saw. It seemed good. I might want to try that, man.
drive as long as you want. You ain't gotta drive 6, 8, 9 hours. You drive about 2, 3 hours and you stop. And then you go and do
Yeah,
what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because
just
you the king of
just
you.
spot your trip. Hey,
So, but he's saying here, and I like this part where he said, by practicing this form of breathing, you uncurl your attention from yourself, alleviating the knots of concentration in front of your own body.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, we get all messed up because we worrying about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
This is a way, like that fear that we have. This is a way to help get rid of that, because that's not something we come with. We don't come with the spirit of fear.
I
We
know
don't
that's
come with
right.
that. Now, I can go on a whole nother tangent. I preached a sermon about that this week. But spirit of fear we don't have. We got the spirit
No,
of love. We got the spirit of power. And we got a spirit of a sound mind.
well, we
This
don't have
breathing
the
help you
spirit of
access
fear.
that.
We don't have the spirit of fear because fear is not really a real thing. We create fear in our head.
That's what it's talking about. You hit it.
We you're afraid of things that have not and
Mhm.
may never happen.
Oh, of
Mm-hmm.
So
course.
that's why you can't have the spirit of fear. Because you got to make that up. You worried about what might happen in the future. Like love, we have the spirit of love because love is a real thing. You can feel it right now. You can feel the love
Yep.
between your family members and all that kind of stuff. But fear is literally a idea or a thought of something that may happen in the future. It ain't happening right now. It's not, it's not happening. I'm scared that my daughter run herself crazy about her test upcoming. I'm like, baby, you ain't you the test 3 days away, and you having a panic attack today. What you know
But
that ain't gonna help you
Right.
pass the test.
connect that to what we just read. That breathing get you out of your own mind. It keep you from
Yep,
focusing on yourself and spread it out to somewhere else. Because all the
yep,
stuff he described in the beginning, getting nervous, that come from you. Feeling
yep.
Mm-hmm.
sad, that come from you. Feeling threatened, you can relax, that come from you.
Mm-hmm.
Unsure about the future. All of the tense stuff we do come from internal, come from all of
Yep.
us.
Neurotic concern.
Mm-hmm.
New, that's why he said neurotic concern is in your head. Is what you're making up in your mind, and anything that we can learn to help us alleviate that is going to help benefit you in your life. And I that's why I said I really appreciate this chapter because I was able to learn and apply some of this, and I have used it at moments of frustration
Mhm.
to help me, clear my head and process information and be able to
So,
accomplish whatever was in front of me.
But again, do it when you're feeling good. Don't just wait till you feel bad. Practice it.
That's
Like
true.
he said now, even now in this moment, inhale down the front of your body, fully expanding your belly and opening your solar plexus and heart. And see, that's the part too. We cut our breath short.
Yep.
When you breathe in and you're supposed to fill up your belly, we cut it short. We tense it up and cut it off. Do the whole thing and slowly breathe out. So that's what he getting to, man. So that was the short chapter, man. So y'all want to finish that one off and then we'll get this last one out the way?
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Let's see that. Go ahead.
Now, I was gonna say, breathe in that beautiful pollen and let it come out slowly so you can taste it on your tongue.
I was just telling you about that today.
you go, you go have me laid up in the bed congested. Boy, I ain't playing with y'all.
Hey, you better get some local honey. That they say get that local honey. Better eat some of that.
That actually does work. To be honest with you, it's one of the things I started doing once I was up here in Atlanta. Because I don't care what y'all say, the pollen bad in Savannah, but up when you elevate it, you in high elevation is worse.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
So, all right. So here go the last one for this chapter. Chapter 46. Ejaculate up the spine.
Mm.
So basically what he's saying here is stop expelling your energy outwards, but pull it in to where it can do some good. Your brain,
Mm.
your head. That's what he's talking about. Now, of course, you can apply that physically and you can extend the time that you are involved. But the way I'm looking at this right now is like, don't waste what you're doing. Still connected to the first one.
This this how I kind of yes connected to the first one, but this how I looked at this. All right, when you ejaculate, it's after you've done some work.
Uh,
You've spent some energy to get to that point of ejaculation. Y'all all understand what I'm saying. And when
Mhm.
it's saying, when you apply that to life, anything you accomplish, you spent some energy to do it. So when you're celebrating that accomplishment, bring that energy into yourself, not just celebrate outwardly, but celebrate on the inside and push that, bring that energy and that love into yourself to push you further to your next goal. That's kind of how
yeah.
I know I might be stretched, I might be reaching, but that's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Well, but look at what he say here though. If your ejaculation ends, I mean, signs the end to your session of loving before you and your woman have fully opened yourselves, then the ejaculation is premature. So,
Mhm.
Hmm.
what I think he's saying is once you do something with that energy and once you spin it out, it's gone.
Yep.
It's gone. You can't get it back. But if you keep it inside of you and use it to fuel what you're about to do next, then it keeps
Mhm.
going.
Right.
And he said, like, the superior man's orgasm more often explodes up his spine and into his brain, not just
Mm.
out. So we gotta to try to recycle that energy, keep it going. When you put your air on recirculate in your car, you push
Yeah.
that circle button and that air get a whole lot colder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get a
That
little
good air.
pollen
Mhm.
ain't getting in. Well, you got to hit that recirculation button a couple times and
Yep.
recirculate that energy again, and just start. You know, we give we give so much of ourselves away for free.
Mm.
Mhm.
We give ourselves away to people, everybody.
Yep.
Anybody come along with something, oh yeah, we down to do it. All right, I'm going. But you'll never take no time for yourself.
Mm.
Always be ready to go. Always be ready to expel that energy. Okay, they going to the club tonight. Yep, I'm going. Every time the door open, I be there, putting out all that energy. Versus sometimes, or when you choose to, like the superior man does, you can take that energy and do something that's going to benefit you. Like we doing now, reading a book. We could be wasting a lot of time, but we ain't doing it.
Nope.
So that's what I'm saying. So to me, that's what I read. Instead of expelling all that energy, do something else with it. Send it to your head where you can furthermore continue.
I agree with you, Doc. I think that he's using these particular words as orgasm and genitals
Hmm.
as more of a symmetry and, and,
Yep.
and not a reference to the actual thing, but like you said, he's actually talking about using that energy to benefit what you have going, right?
Hmm.
And if it is sex, you still have to use that energy to move forward, because if you don't utilize this method, then what you said earlier, it was pre
Uh,
ejaculation. That's like erectile dysfunction or something. But
be dysfunction.
yeah, it's dysfunctional.
Uh,
So what he's trying to say is be the 100% function. You know what I mean? That way everybody's winning. It sounds like he's creating a win-win situation, because when you use these breathing techniques, because you really got to practice. I agree with what you said earlier. listen, I'm single, so I've tried to practice this. It works.
Mm.
It does. So, yeah, breathing, man, and slowing down,
Mm.
man, that right there does a phenomenal. That does a phenomenal job to your mental, because I had a philosophy last year. It was not to don't be in a rush to get anywhere fast.
Okay.
Right. And this is like confirmation right here, because
Mhm.
what are you in a rush for?
Exactly.
Where are you trying to get?
Well, most people don't know. You know what? They're trying to get to the next big thing, but they still have no destination in mind. None at all. What I like, what he said here, you have to recondition your body and nervous system. I
Mhm.
made sure to underline that part because we all got to retrain ourselves. And then he lists the steps. It's like a couple steps. First step is
Mhm.
undoing the habits that you learn.
Right. As a teenager.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Right.
you can apply that to all of life, not just what he implicitly instruct and discussing, but just look at the habits that we do. Look at them habits. Like, for
Mhm.
instance, I would always tell folks, okay, reading books don't really work for you. That's cool. So
Okay.
instead of reading books, listen to some audio books. That way you still can get the same information.
Mhm.
But you know what our habit is? When we get in the car, we turn
Mhm.
it to what it is, 93.1 or whatever it is. We automatically turn it to that, and now we going. But you got to change that habit to something different. And that's the thing. You got to undo the same stuff because it ain't working. Doing the
Right.
same thing over and over. I mean, and here he talks about, well, in relation to the sexual part, he said, instead of tensing your muscles as you become sexually stimulated, learn to relax them.
Mhm.
Doing the opposite. When you notice your belly tight and your chest hard, open your belly and soften the area around the heart. So do the opposite. That's basically what he's saying. Do the
And
opposite
you
of what you normally do.
but you come into more consciousness from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
You could even if you need to take a break and count, right, from 1 to 10 or 1 to
Yeah.
20, right? It's going to force you to breathe,
Yep.
and it makes a complete difference, right?
Uh-huh.
It just resets the clock. So I really like this. I don't think it's all about sex,
Yeah.
but I think it's more so about self-control.
Say that again. We always talk about that self-control.
Yep.
But I think the second level to self-control, well, one, you start off by learning to control yourself, your urges, emotions, learning to control all that.
Hmm.
But now this part here is once you got it under control, then what do you do with it? And here, undoing those habits purposely. And the next step is redirect your attention. And he
Hmm.
said, rather than curling attention onto yourself and feeling the
Hmm.
pleasures moving in your own body, feel outward into and through your partner. So it ain't all about just focusing on yourself all the time. Redirect your attention outwards. And again, that could go any kind of way.
Hmm.
Even stuff that's non-sexual, you just taking that attention and focusing it somewhere else instead of just yourself all the time.
Like you and the young boy with the with tying his shoe.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You. It sounded like you developed some level of respect with this young man,
Mm-hmm.
and so when he stepped on your shoe, he was like, "Oh my Lord, man!" It's like it was like disrespect, man. Let me try to take care of this. Let me control
Yeah.
myself, and if I messed it up, I'm gonna fix it.
Yes.
I have that much control because I could just say, "Bump it." I stepped on this shoe, man. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Uh, like if you want to call the shoe inexpensive, I don't. But even if we use that for an example,
Yeah.
hey, man, my shoes are more expensive than that. Bump it, I'm gonna walk on. But the respect that he has and the
Mm-hmm.
self control that he has now from you pouring into him, man,
Yeah.
that's reciprocity.
Exactly. You don't see that often, but I mean, and that's, man, it's the same thing he talking about in this book. It's like so
Mhm.
many lessons that you, again, like you said, he using a certain form of language because we can relate to it, but that ain't really what he talking about. Or it's
Mhm.
encompassing all of that. And that's a big part. Now, and he also talks about how to breathe, again, the certain exercises you can do, and how to take that internal energy and push it somewhere else. Now, that is the part that's why you got to master the breathing first. Because when you get that breathing down and knowing that you can fill certain parts of your torso with air,
Mhm.
now you aware of your body, and now you can kind of shift that excitement, that energy around. And if
Mhm.
you ever been nervous or excited about something and felt it in your stomach, you can stop that from happening, where you can get yourself together. But of course,
When
breathing is a part of it.
when you're nervous, a lot of times, I'm in sales also. A
Mhm.
lot of times, they tell us to take 3 seconds
Yep.
before we respond. Why do they tell us to take 3 seconds? Because at least you can take a breath,
Yeah.
right? And those 3 seconds can change the whole trajectory. I don't know why my speech is bad,
I have that all the time too.
but it can change the whole outcome
Mhm.
of the conversation. Just by taking those 3 seconds, and it allows you to uh, uh, understand what the question was, and it also allows you to respond properly. So this is much more than just sex.
Mhm.
This is real life and real self control type stuff here, and it's and see, and we talked about it even on the Saturday show. Not to
Mhm.
go from the nerd show to the Saturday show, because I
Yeah.
like the Saturday show, but when we talked about being men, and just certain things that happen in life, you have to take time. You have to take time out to kind of stop and sit back and analyze. And
Mhm.
that's this is all. This is all. This is all. This is the final chapter. What is it?
Oh no, we got one more after
Is
this.
it?
It's 5
Oh,
chapters
47.
after this.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, we got
Wow.
five.
It
Mhm.
would seem like this would almost be the conclusion.
Man. But no, because that next stuff is pretty heavy too. Um, but speaking of that, with taking that pause and that breath, I had a conversation with my son before we went on the air. And I was getting on him about his schoolwork. Because he doing virtual school, so it worked totally different.
Mhm.
Um, but his stuff, all his assignments was showing up as being overdue. So like he wasn't doing them on time. And my wife asked him about it, and he couldn't articulate what was going on. He was like, she want me to say this, and she want to answer, and she got to say this. What can I do? And I said, you know what? Be still. Don't be in a rush to respond right away. Now, I'm not saying to sit there 5-10 minutes and say, I'm going to talk to you later. But what I am saying is you stop, look at her, take a breath, then go and show her, not just tell her.
Mhm.
So I had to question him to get to a point to where he said, okay, this is what's happening. So now he prepared and know how to attack these things. So what you were saying about weight and also not focusing on yourself, when you focus on what the other person is thinking and what they want out of the deal, that's when you're successful. Because sales teach us that it ain't all about pizza, bagels, and donuts. I'll never forget that. He said pizza, bagels, donuts. That's all they bring it. You want to be more than that. Um, so like
Wow.
right here, so in summary, so like we're at the end of this chapter right here. So
That's
he's
right.
saying rather than it's like a couple steps, rather
Mhm.
than fantasizing or entertaining inward imagery of any kind, remain totally present, aware of your own body, breath, and mind, and especially attentive to your partners. So basically, stop daydreaming about stuff.
Mhm.
Stop wishing stuff was what is not, but be aware of what it is. Number 2, keep your body and breath relaxed and full.
Mm-hmm.
Especially keep the front of your body relaxed so your belly is vast and your heart is soft and wide. Relax.
Mm-hmm.
Stop being tense. Because the more, and you know what? It made me think about football. You know what they say? If you're scared to get hit, you get hurt. You can't tense up because that's where it hurt more. So you got to learn how to loosen up.
Mm-hmm.
Learn to feel into and be directed by your own sensation, even beyond your partner's sensation. So basically, you're not just focusing on yourself. Focus outward.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the day and during the sexual session, practice breathing. Big thing. Practice breathing. And he said excessive or chronic thinking or addiction to ejaculation is often a sign that your energy is blocked and you are not yet breathing fully in this circle throughout the day. So you got to always be breathing because this block's going on. You got to unblock that. And like what he said about chronic thinking, that's where that fear comes from. Because or what they call it, imposter syndrome. And that's the main. So that's a way to beat imposter syndrome. Stop focusing on yourself. Do some breathing. I'm have to add that to the book. All right, man. So yeah, Jay had to go. He had an important phone call come in. But any last words about this chapter or anything else we talked about?
Well, no, man, I appreciate you sending me the link, man, so that I could jump on. I'm here every week, but I'm just glad I had on a halfway decent shirt.
Oh, when you must have went in the office today.
Well, I traveled back from Savannah. I was at a birthday party last night. Shouts out to Primus Grant. So for anybody who knows Primus, 72 years old. I drove back today, man, and it's the energy that you put out is awesome because that's all I've been trying to do here this year since I moved back here to Charleston. I've just been trying to put energy back out into the atmosphere. And it's coming back, man. I'm booked up for the next 2 weeks.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's my life. So if I can encourage anybody, man, to really dig into this chapter and see, okay, if I hadn't read any of these other chapters, what about this particular chapter? It says, to give back to others, the energy that you have as a man, right? Put that energy, because as men, we're supposed to be strong. That's just kind of universally accepted.
Right.
So if you're strong, then you're gonna put that same strong back into the atmosphere, and man, and you just be amazed with the results. So that's it for me, man. It was amazing. Thank you again for allowing me to jump on.
Oh, definitely. And you're 100% right. You gotta put in more than you taking out. That's important. And I mean, like I said, at first when I saw these chapters, I'm like, man, I don't even know if I want to put this out on the page like that. But it's not about what it's about.
Right.
It's not about what it's about.
Right. You got to look a little bit more in depth into the thing. Goodness gracious. Where's your mind at?
Yeah, exactly. One thing my daddy told me a long time ago when I started preaching and doing all that stuff at church, and he talked about how some people fish shallow. So they have a cane pole and they fish on the top of the water. But he said, people like us, we got to fish deep, and we got to look beyond what words say and beyond all of this stuff and get way deep to pull out the meaning. And since he told me that, I try to apply that to everything I'm doing. We got to fish deep, man. And this is one of those examples of you got to fish deep.
I like that. Fish deep.
Yes, sir. Yep, that was that was Pastor Hicks saying right there. I got plenty from him.
Hey, he sounds like a wise man because it's nothing but truth in it, and we know our lanes, right? Some of us are gonna read this book and we're gonna interpret it on a different level. And like I said, I've when I'm driving back and forth to Savannah, you know, I throw a ton of audiobooks in. I have one in now, think Fast and Slow. But
Okay.
yeah, and so reading is if you don't have time to read the hardback, right? I got the hardback, so I'm going through this with you.
Ooh, yeah, you in there.
Yeah. You know, that's how you have to do it when you're serious about it. See,
Mhm.
some of it, see this chapter tell you you got to get serious, man.
Yeah.
Because you can go in here and even if we're talking about sex, you can go in there and get a quickie,
Mm.
but and we jump back to 45, that only leads to a good life. It doesn't lead to something great.
Mhm.
What do you want to be, good or great?
That's right.
You know, do you want to be better or the best? You know,
Oh, you
so
know where I'm at.
well, you already there. You know, that's why I jumped on.
Mm.
You have a ton of people ask me to jump on a podcast. I'm like, man, if you're not talking about anything, you know, I may look this way, but I'm kind of a nerd. I have to read. It's a requirement in my industry. We have
Um,
CE, continuing education.
yeah,
I'm like, I didn't just graduate from high school. I have to take continuing education every single year.
that's right.
Right. And this right here is just continuing education for some of us guys who didn't have uh, uh, other guys to kind of show us this. And if you were one of those guys that didn't get this in your life, then this particular book and the way you break down the study, man, it's excellent. They need to go back and listen to all the podcasts.
Man, it's there. It's there. I may end up doing some quick summaries. I had to go all the way back to 48 Laws of Power. but you know, we looking at doing either 12 Rules to Life, Jordan Peterson.
Okay.
We got Battle Cry from Jason Wilson.
Mm.
Atomic Habits by James Clear.
I've read that.
And it was another one. I think those were the main ones. But I'm gonna put a poll up. I want everybody to vote on it, see what we do next, because we only got about a week or two.
Jordan Peterson is an amazing speaker, and he has an amazing life story. The Atomic Habits is great. I've read that, so I'll put my vote in there. I'm not gonna tell the world what I'm a vote. Either way, I'm gonna be here though.
For sure. Oh well, man, I appreciate you coming up. So we're gonna go ahead and send this out. We're not gonna have a show this weekend. I got a funeral to go ahead and participate in. Got some birthdays coming up, but next week we'll be back with the remainder of this book ready to go. And again, we appreciate Mr. Help to Cover. If you need some insurance or anything like that, go ahead and hit him up at the website, Help to Cover Insurance. He will be there, very knowledgeable, can answer all the questions that you have. And that's all we got, man. So we love y'all and we out. Peace.
All right.